Let me welcome on board Deven Choksey as well and find out what he's making of the market right now. Deven, hi, afternoon. Just wanted to understand how you've digested all the numbers and the news flow so far. Good numbers from Axis, and then that RBI ban coming in from Kotak, and of course, Bajaj Finance as well. That's been quite the howler.
Yeah, good afternoon. Well, so to me, I think the numbers of Bajaj Finance, in particular, I think have remained once again very reassuring as far as I think the growth aspect is concerned. The company on a larger base of 3.3 lakh crore AUM is continuing to grow the engine at around 28 to 30% rate of growth. So which is definitely, I think, good. The current management guidance probably, I think, is suggesting that there will be slightly muted growth in the current year, but still on a larger balance sheet. I think that should not affect much as far as the company is concerned. So to me, I think this company remains, I think, a very strong proposition, largely also because of the fact that the housing finance business per se, which is part of subsidiary of Bajaj Finance, is not something which is adequately valued by the market, which I think would probably get valued once this company is becoming a separate company, getting separate listing as well. So in such situation, I think one would see a relatively better amount of growth, the call it trigger as well. Overall, I think the interest rate scenario in the country is suggesting that I think it has already picked out. So to a greater extent, I think with the fall in the interest rates, eventually somewhere June onwards, I think when the RBI policy comes out, we believe that I think that will be signaling relatively better signal for most of the finance companies, including Bajaj Finance, even for that matter, the Axis, CSA among others. So to a greater extent, I think the opportunity would be best when one is getting an opportunity to buy the stock when the market is giving one during this sell-off.
So that's the view coming in on Bajaj Finance. But in the meantime, take a look at Five-Star Business. That one is perking up quite well. Nuvama Wealth Management is the other one which is doing quite well. And Shriram Finance, as we talked about, the numbers were just out, no disappointment there. But from this pedigree of the likes of Five-Star, Poonawalla FinCorp, other microfinanciers, etc., what's your reading, Deven, of the visibility of growth and risk-reward right now?
So yes, I think there is a slight amount of valuation which is not giving me the comfort in some cases, and that's where probably I think you can well argue that the element of risk is slightly higher at this point of time in some of the names which you have mentioned. However, I feel that I think the current market is giving an opportunity during the corrections. And these corrections, they do come on a stock specific basis. These corrections don't come on an overall market basis. So suppose if today, if the Kotak Bank is down or for that matter, Bajaj Finance is down, I think that becomes a buy opportunity for investors to buy into the portfolio, largely because I think when the next trigger comes in, the recovery will be equally sharp of 20-25%. And that is where contra buy has to take place. That's the beauty of it, that this market is giving some of the good quality fundamental stocks at a lower price because of some negative news flows. But that is the time when I think as an investor, one gets the opportunity to buy into the portfolio.
Okay, some very bullish commentary coming in the housing finance segment from the House of Motilal Oswal. Of course, there has been that management rejig along the anticipated lines. Naveen Agarwal is now going to become the MD. There's a bonus share issue in the ratio of 3:1. But the fact that they're talking about the sales force being doubled in FY24 to reach 925 relationship managers, the aim to double again in FY25 just shows the kind of conviction that they have in the growth of the business. They're also talking about new leadership being pretty geared for doubling the disbursements in FY25. Specifically, Deven, just wanted to talk about realty as the entire gamut along with ancillaries, and that talks about, or rather includes financiers as well. Where is it that you think that there's still money to be made in an already discovered pocket?
Yes, I think it convinces us that housing finance as a space remains absolutely very steady space as far as I think the investor's money portfolio is concerned, largely because of the fact that it is this area which is growing at the rate of 20% plus kind of a growth. And the higher amount of conviction out here is also because of the fact that as the size of the economy grows, as the size of, I think, the saving and investment component within that economic growth because of the one-third of amount which is basically out of saving investment. And out of that one-third amount, about 60% remains within housing and the gold. I believe that the housing per se is basically going to grow at the steady rate of growth of around 20% plus on a year-over-year basis for at least next 3 to 5 years, as we see it. Given that kind of position, and given the position that the demand scenario remains absolutely strong for the real estate and housing in particular, I believe that I think housing finance company as a proxy to real estate company for investment will be a safer bet. The downside risk is protected to a greater extent, and upside would be available because of the higher growth that they are talking about. And if the interest rate scenario, I think, starts showing down, that is coming down, which is expected in this calendar year, I believe that I think overall benefit will come into the books for most of the financing companies, including housing finance.
Point taken. Just wanted to highlight that the Nifty has actually dipped below the mark of 22,400. From there, there's been a smidge of a recovery. So we're back at 400. Clearly, the bulls are fighting for that crucial level of 22,400. But it's a broader market strength which is really commendable. Let's pull up the mid cap and small cap and see whether there has been any sell-off there. Not really. We're still holding on to those record high levels, both on the Nifty as well as the mid cap as well as the small cap index. So small cap has petered a bit. In terms of the stock specific action, just wanted to highlight a couple of these QSR names before I toss it to Ansh. Westlife Development, that stock has soared suddenly 8%, and Mrs. Bector's has been having a great day. It's been up around 7% as well. Nuresh, what's your sense on a couple of these QSR companies, Mrs. Bector's as well as Westlife?
So it was Mrs. Bector's which gave a breakout yesterday. The chart still looks interesting. And the overall trend has been good for the stock for the last almost 1.5 year. And it's gone through a consolidation for 6 months also. So this breakout could again take it back to 1300, 1350. Westlife has seen a quick move right now, just in a few minutes. So the stock has broken out above the 850 mark, which was the resistance for the last 3-4 months. This could slowly and steadily go back to 1,000 odd levels, but would be a buy on dips, not at current levels.
In on some of these ancillaries from the entire QSR space, but on to Ansh now. Ansh, tell us which are the big price volume buzzers that you're spotting?
Yes, so Hutco will be the first stock in focus as the stock has actually given a breakout from its reverse head and shoulder chart pattern, registering its biggest single weekly gain in 12 weeks. Also, the volume is over 10 times its average volume of last 10 sessions, indicating good participation in today's breakout from this reverse head and shoulder pattern. Apart from this, Havels will also be in focus as the stock has actually given a breakout from its cup and handle chart pattern, touching record high level with volume of over 3 times its average volume of last 10 sessions. Lastly, Coromandel International will be in focus as the stock has actually given a breakout from broadening a wedge chart pattern which is on the downside. In addition to that, the stock has also surpassed above its 100 DMA with volume of over 3 times its average trading volume of last 20 sessions. So keep an eye on the stocks.
Ansh, very interesting bunch of stocks you've highlighted for us. Appreciate you joining us. But in the meantime, just going back to seeing what's happening in the markets, because a lot of numbers are expected today. Maruti was expected to come within the market as itself. We haven't heard anything yet. In fact, let me take it across to Shrishti to get the expectations going. Shrishti, what are we expecting from Maruti this time around? Because the stock is a bit skittish ahead of its earnings.
So this time we are expecting a good set from Maruti Suzuki because look at the run up in the volumes and the jump in the volumes, because on a quarter-on-quarter basis, the overall volumes have seen a jump of almost 17%, while on a YOY basis, the volumes have inched up close to 13.5%. And also, if you look at the mix of their UVs in the overall portfolio, that is now zoomed to close to 37% in Q4 of FY24 versus just 26% in Q4 of FY23. So all in all, great set of numbers expected from Maruti Suzuki, and hence we are seeing the stock is also seeing no stopping. But when it comes to the overall numbers on the revenue figure, we are expecting 38,860 crores. That will be a jump of 17% on a quarter-on-quarter basis. If we talk about EBITDA, close to 5,000 crores is what we are expecting. And also on the margin front, we are expecting an improvement on the back of the better pricing as well as a benefit
benefits from the operating leverage. 13% is what we are expecting the EBITDA margin, and that's versus 12% that the company clocked in Q3 of FY24. And lastly, on the profit figure, our expectation is of 3,046 crores, though that will be a flat growth on a sequential basis. But nevertheless, the key to watch will be the margins of the company, where this time around 13% is our expectation. But apart from the company's earnings and all of these numbers, we will be watching out for company's commentary on the entry-level segment. How are they seeing the sales of the hybrids, and what are the future plans? If there are any more further and interesting details about their upcoming EV launch, we will be tracking all of those details. So all in all, good set expected from Maruti Suzuki, and 13% of margin is the key to track.
Okay, a lot of flux within the entire auto pack, and Maruti surely, especially the commentary, is going to be something key to look out for. In the meantime, let's just take stock of what else has been happening. In fact, Maruti actually has cooled off quite a fair bit from that 14,000 peak that it hit. From there, that's been almost a 1,300-point decline that you've seen on the stock already. Kunal, let's just get a chart check in on Maruti.
Well, I would still believe that maybe this could be a zone where the stock is seeing a bit of profit booking. What has actually happened is autos at large. So when you look at the Hero MotoCorp, you look at Maruti, M&M, Tata Motors, these stocks which have been erstwhile very strong performers for 2023 and then beyond. I think these stocks have gone through a patch of consolidation/correction. So I would probably believe that Maruti could also get into a slight phase of a correction, but I would probably term that as more of profit booking. Very strong supports for the stock at 12,000, 12,500 zone. So in case if it dips down, say another 200 to 50 odd points, it could actually be a very good territory or a zone to buy or go for a contraband Maruti. So near term wise, would not have too much of expectations on the auto names. But in case if the stocks drift by another 3%, 5%, then I think that could be a very good contrabuying opportunity.
Okay, let's get some BTST trades as well. Then going on that note, Naresh, what's on your list?
So first is the Barn Engineers India, which has given a short-term breakout, stop loss at 232, target price of 250. Second is the Barn Godrej Properties, which after this big breakout of 2,500, 2,550, did a retest and is now reversing back, expecting this to continue towards 2,700, stop loss at 2,600.
Kunal, what's on your BTST list?
So I'll go with the Barn IDFC First Bank. After quite some time, the stock making a very strong comeback, closing in around that 84, 85 mark. Would suggest a buy with a target of 92. Stop loss could be trailed higher to 82. And Sun TV is the stock which looks extremely charged up. A classic price volume breakout for the stock. Targets of 710, stop loss at 633.
Okay, so those are the BTSC trades coming in right now. But Deven, what's the view on what's happening with respect to this entire consumer durable pack? You talked about real estate, but the stocks like Havells, Dixon, they're all doing quite well. And recently, of course, we got the news that Reliance might be looking at getting into the consumer durable space as well, with the announcement of their Visor brand, through which they'll come out with ACs, coolers, etc. Do you think that could be the next disruption from the house of Ambanis?
Yes, indeed. I think there are two things maybe in this entire space as we closely look at. One is the manufacturing abilities, which I think likes of Havells have significantly developed, apart from I think the conventional players like Yodat, Star, Voltas, etc. On the other side, I think the model which has emerged stronger for the global, the foreign brands, is the model which is outsourcing model, contract manufacturing model, wherein the Dixon number kind of companies have actually, I think, been significantly operating out there. The most important component in this entire game plan is your last mile with the customer, where I think the two elements they come in front. One is your distribution and second is the finance. Now, in case of, I think, the finance, the likes of Bajaj Finance and all have actually cornered significant amount of market, and now the Geo Finance could possibly be a strong contender to that particular area, wherein EMI-based funding will probably be offered either on the omni-channel platform, that is your online, or through your the digital stores which are on the ground. But more importantly, once you have your own customized brand, wherein I think you outsource it from the manufacturer on the contract manufacturing basis, I think the margins would be phenomenally high. And that's where I think the Reliance kind of company will probably pitch in, Reliance retail kind of company will pitch in and fit in significantly. So that could offer some amount of disruption as well to the existing players. We believe that there could be an opportunity, of course, I think, to the newcomers like Reliance Retail along with the Geofin, which is there in the system. However, in the current situation, if you look at the individual stocks, most of these stocks are factoring the good results, which is expected in this quarter, April to June quarter of the new financial year. I believe that I think it is being factored into in the price already. So to a greater extent, I think it is already a stretch price as far as we are concerned on the valuation.
Yeah, and if that was not it, you can now blink it a symphony cooler, right?
That's quite interesting. In 10 minutes, you're feeling very hot. Okay, let me just
Let me
order.
just blink it a cooler. But yeah, the heat also has really come to that.
And the numbers were like within 1 hour, they sold out 13, 14 coolers. That tells you
Yeah.
that there's clearly that heat wave and
In
demand
10
is there.
minutes.
Oh, 10
that was
minutes.
Albinder
Oh.
Dhinsa's tweet this morning, that in 10 minutes they have already delivered 13 of these. But yeah. There's also Kirloskar Pneumatic, which reported its Q4 numbers, and Sharad is here to break down the numbers for us. Sharad?
Well, yes, strong numbers coming in from Kirloskar Pneumatic on a year-on-year basis. There has been a good jump in the revenue, jumping almost 36%, while PAT also jumped almost 86%. Now, margins expanded due to the favorable revenue mix, and also the overall numbers were improved on the back of strong execution coming in the CNG package orders. Apart from this, management has stated that the centrifugal compressor launch is expected to pick up in FY25, and importantly, they have given guidance also, especially for FY26. They're expecting a 2,000 crore revenue target, while the medium term it's expected there would be a 20% growth in top line. Their margins expected to reach between 18 to 20%, and strong order inquiries have been coming. The analysts have stated that the company is a key beneficiary of the massive ordering in the CGD, which is the Central Gas Distribution Network layout, where it enjoys a 50% plus market share. Also, post today's rally, the current market price is more than what the analyst targets have been there. And the analyst target for Antique is at 1,073 rupees per share, while for Ambit it's 1,039 rupees.
Okay, so that's about Kirloskar Pneumatic. That stock clearly firing away in the trading session. But what else is happening right now? You have Hudco with a gain of 13%. New India Assurance has actually inched higher. NLC India has been doing quite well. On the losing side, Spark is the other one which has consistently been in lower circuits. And TRIL, or Transformers and Rectifiers 2, has reversed its course from those upper circuit levels. It's been locked in lower circuit for the last few days. Ajanta Pharma is in focus on account of the flash at the bottom of the screen. The company might consider a buyback come May 2nd, so that stock is seeing a bit of spike. But the biggest democracy across the world is actually going through the second phase of the Lok Sabha election polling. Let's take it across to my colleague Sumit to get an understanding as to what exactly is on the line in this phase and how's been the voter turnout so far. Sumit, take it away.
The crucial second phase of voting in India currently. The voting is happening all across the country, from Jammu and Kashmir to Karnataka, and we are currently in an important constituency called Gautam Budh Nagar, popularly known as the Noida city. Well, it's adjacent to the capital, New Delhi. Issues here are quite different. Issue is of development, the crime, infrastructure development, and other sorts of developments and modernization. People here are quite educated. It is not a rural belt, so that is why the issues here are quite different. If we talk about the other parts of the country, well, the contest is between important candidates, including Congress, Rahul Gandhi, Shashi Tharoor, and important BJP leaders. Hema Malini is fighting very near from here as well. Arun Govil from Meerut, this is Western UP part. It's considered as a very important part for voting as well. So the second phase of voting is happening. It's crucial to see what kind of voting takes place, because in the first phase, the attendance was not as high as expected. Since morning here, people were coming out in good numbers, but as the temperatures are rising, the attendance is also thinning out. In the evening, it's expected people will come out and vote in large numbers.
Okay, important day as the second phase of polling actually kickstarts. Deven, you think from now up until June, when the results do get announced, do you think the market will sort of shake off a little bit, and we will see the lightening of positions in the run-up to the big event?
Yeah, the same and except I think the monthly expiry days like it is today. Rest of the days, I think the market should reasonably remain, I think, firm from the perspective of, I think, going up to the election. My take is that I think more or less the individual investors have understood the outcome of the election results. And that's where probably I think they are not going to see, I think, too much of runaway rally kind of a thing into the market. But any correction in the market, like what we are seeing currently today, this will be easily get bought into. And that is where probably you are going to see the next round of rally resulting to the mark-to-market profits for some traders as well. Overall, the momentum remains strong. Fundamentals are absolutely in place. And I think that the result season also is quite convincing from the point of view of, I think, the numbers which have been announced so far. So overall, the strength on the market suggests that I think it will remain steady for.
Taken, it's overall been a steady week actually. Nifty managed to inch higher by 1%. Small cap has done quite well with a gain of 4%, and the mid cap index higher by 4.3%. Clearly, the star of the week gone by has been the PSU banking index with a gain of around 7%, and SBI too has managed to inch up by 7%, apart from Axis Bank, which is up 10% for the week gone by. Kunal, your view within the entire banking space, and let's put the PSUs and private banks together, large caps and small caps together. Which name is the top one or two names that come to mind as far as the banking sector goes?
See, of course, the PSU banks have definitely outperformed, and SBI has been one of the literally torch bearers, for the entire PSU banking sector. That's done exceptionally well. What we've also seen so far, when I look at the PSU basket first, is that the mid cap and the PSU baskets, which are a bit more quiet, silent over the last couple of months, those stocks have made a very strong comeback for themselves, and now they are inching back towards their January, February highs for themselves. So I think many of them are just closer to those kind of breakout levels. That's a very interesting kind of a prospect, because this gets back to the point that the markets are into a momentum zone, into a risk-on phase, and the PSU sector, specifically the PSBs, they could stand to gain much more stronger degree of momentum, both the large caps and the mid caps over there. The concern for the markets, and the reason why the bank nifty every now and then tends to underperform, is the private sector banking name, because look at the last 2 days of price action. HDFC Bank has been absolutely sideways at the 1500-1520 range, just stuck into a 1% kind of a band at a point when the indices were showing some signs of momentum. Kotak Bank has been at the receiving end, especially on the back of the news flow for the stock. I think that's adding to the concern for the markets as such. So I would believe that till the time these news flows continue to be negative or a bit more pessimistic for these few odd stocks, the markets could remain more towards the performing names. So I think in that aspect, it makes a lot of sense to go with the performing stocks, PSU banking names, SBI, etc. And if you're looking at the private sector banking names, I think Axis Bank, ICICI Bank, and maybe City Union Bank could be few of the new names which I should be looking out for.
Tomorrow, of course, is going to be the other one. You've got big boy ICICI Bank also delivering its numbers, which of course the market is only going to react to on Monday. If we can just quickly flash what the expectation from ICICI Bank is. In fact, while of course this week the star performer has been Axis Bank after its numbers, up until this year, ICICI Bank has been quite the steady ship. 1110 is where the stock is. Just very quickly, what we're anticipating from ICICI Bank's performance, we're expecting the NII uptick of about 7% odd. We are expecting fee income, which is unlikely to pick up, leading to the PPOP growth of around 7% odd on year-on-year basis. Provisioning, we're anticipating it to be on the lower end. And yes, a PAT uptick of nearly about 13% is what the ET Now poll is penciling in. Asset quality, that is of course key on everyone's radar. We are expecting slippages to actually moderate on a sequential basis. So that's the expectation coming in from ICICI Bank. In the meantime, let's begin winding up for the day and the week as well. Deven, we'll let you go on that note. Kunal, Naresh, we'll see you again with all the market action on Monday morning. But we've stabilized somewhat. Yes, it started off to be a very quiet day. We have drifted lower from there. And we're closing in at that 22,550 print for the Nifty futures for 40, so well defending that 22,400 mark, which also we breached intraday today, so recovered from there. The strength, of course, was all within the broader end of the market. That's where all the lively action was. So be it a Coromandel, which closed in with almost an 8% gain, GMR Infra with a 7% move, Concor with a 6.5% move, or Dixon for that matter with a 6% move. Amongst the large caps, the day belonged to TechM all the way perhaps the only IT name so far which has got such a massive move after its earnings, and a thumbs up at that. So almost an 8% move coming in there. Divi's, LTIM, Bajaj Auto, DRL were some of the other performers. Not quite the case with Bajaj Finance though. That really cracked hard on opening and drifted only lower from there. So almost an 8% gash is what you're seeing on Bajaj Finance on closing on the futures. Bajaj Finserv, wherein the numbers are awaited, a 4% move. Downtick coming in there as well. IndusInd Bank, M&M, Nestle, HCL Technologies, Kotak have all been the underperformers. But that's it from Anisha and me for the week. We'll see you again Monday morning.
If you like this video, then like, share and subscribe to ET Now.